It's Sunday, and I'm wrapping up the week by summarizing this week's theme, America's $36 trillion tab, understanding how the national debt impacts you. Everyone's favorite topic, the crushing U.S. national debt. Yay! I felt it was a little depressing recording this week's episodes. Maybe not depressing, sobering. I have a long ways to go before retirement myself, and a long ways to go, hopefully, before I'm dead and gone. And I would like for the U.S. economy, our markets, I would like to thrive. And we need the economy to continue to grow. And the crushing debt burden is a real threat to that. So hopefully I gave you some realistic game plan for a lot of this is, yes, indeed, out of your control. But importantly, I think we need to stop burying our head in the sand, and the politicians in power, Congress, need to do more to educate the public that the path out of this, yeah, you could lay the blame on the government, absolutely. But you could also lay the blame at the American people, because nobody wants to elect politicians who are going to raise taxes, cut spending, which is what would be required in order to meaningfully reduce the national debt. So there are a few ways out of this problem that don't include a lot of pain, but it's not certain that we're not going to have a full-blown debt crisis at some point in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We shall see. So the key takeaway is, I think, just that. The possibility of a future debt crisis is a sobering reality. It is not an all but certain reality, but it is possible. And it is not just possible, it is probable. And it is likely that at some point, because the political will does not exist, the will among the American people doesn't exist. So we're going to just keep whistling past the graveyard until we have a full-blown crisis. And I think that is the likely scenario. It's just the timeline of that and when that happens is highly uncertain. And for your benefit, I don't hope that you're dead and gone, but it is a real problem and a problem for future generations. And that's why it's frightening for myself and my children and the world in general. So understanding what that might mean for you, taking steps now, the most important steps you can take now are pretty simple. Live within your means, invest wisely, be very focused on quality, keep your own personal debt load low, and make sure you're not heavily reliant on the government, like in the form of Social Security, to supplement your income. Now, the problem with this is that most Americans are not stable enough financially. They don't have enough breathing room financially to be able to check all of those boxes. So that's what frightens me the most, is that I think the people who most need the U.S. debt to remain on a sustainable path are the ones, the largest portion of the U.S. population are the people who can't afford for the U.S. to go to a full-blown debt crisis. But we don't have control over what everybody else is doing. We have little control over what the U.S. debt situation looks like. The only thing we can do is accept reality, elect politicians who are going to do something about it, and then not vote them out because they did things we didn't like, which unfortunately, that's just what keeps happening. You don't want to elect someone who increases taxes, spending, etc. Okay, I'm beating the dead horse. I've talked about this already. We just got to protect ourselves from an uncertain future. And hopefully I gave you some thoughts and suggestions this week for how you can do that. Okay, if you are enjoying the podcast, was this valuable this week? Did you learn something new? Be sure to subscribe and follow so you never miss an episode. Please leave a review. Reviews are essential. Your feedback helps new listeners find the show. It helps the algorithms on the podcast platforms. It tells people that, like, hey, this show doesn't suck. It's decent. So if you think it's like decent, then please leave a review. You could even say, this is a decent show. As long as you leave enough stars, I'm happy about that. Then share the podcast with a friend or a family member who's getting close to retirement. And if you're interested in learning more about working with me, go to my website, truenorthra.com. You can book a free 15-minute call. There's a link in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage. I am happy to chat with you about anything regarding retirement, no strings attached. All right, so tomorrow I'm starting a brand new theme, a eulogy to Doug. Now, my father-in-law, Doug, passed away from pancreatic cancer on May 22nd. And my husband and I, we were high school sweethearts. So I've known Doug since I was 16 years old. I've known him for 24 years. Did I do the math right? Yeah, 24 years. I loved Doug like a father, not just a father-in-law who I tolerated. He and I were pretty close, and I love Doug. He was also a financial advisor and a CFP certified financial planner for over 40 years. He worked with us at True North. So next week, I'd like to share with you some memories of Doug, some lessons he taught me, both personally and through his advice and mentorship as a financial advisor. I hope you have a blessed Sunday. My name is Ashley Michike, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.